on, guys? It is your boy G here, come back again for yet another reaction video. And today, man, we're gonna be doing something a little bit different. We're gonna do Big L before they were gone. Now, look, since I really started off this reaction channel without knowing who really Big L was, so I'm interested to see how his life was and shit. I know how it ended. Y'all been telling me how his life ended. He was fucking shot in the face because of his brother and shit. Cause I mean, I'm really interested in see what other information that I didn't know about him. So shit, we're gonna react to that today. And before we do start the video, man, if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so. It really does help out the channel. But you don't have to do so. I mean, if you do want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And shit, man, let's get straight into the video.
And blast the shotty, got more cash than Gotti. You don't know? You better ask somebody.
Before Big L would start a group with fellow Harlem rappers Bass and Cameron. Before Big L would impress hip-hop producer Lord Finesse when he freestyled for him at an autograph signing in a record shop. Before he won a freestyle battle when he was only 18, beating out 2,000 other contestants. Before Big L would perform concerts in Amsterdam and Japan. Before Big L would lose his life at the age of 25, being shot 9 times in a drive-by shooting.
Too soon, man.
Representing DITC.
Oh, it was 9.
Records, and when I'm in Croatia, I'm
Say, one of y'all told me it was 8.
checking out top DJ Mag. You know what I mean?
Growing up in the rough and tough area of Harlem, young Larry Coleman, he had decided what kind of life he was going to make for himself. And he was surrounded by violence, guns, and gangs. Now, a lot of guys, they were taken to the street corners to sell drugs, but he would go out there where he would freestyle. He would also challenge other artists to rap battle. His talent and boldness would lead him to be taken in by some of the most exciting underground rap artists in New York, and eventually he would sign to Columbia Records. But soon after, him and the label, they weren't seeing eye to eye, and he would move on to work for himself. Big L, well, his lyrical style, it was getting him global recognition, and people were sampling his music left, right, and center. It was while he was working on his second album that he got tangled up in a street.
Damn, man. Damn, I think I did pause it on a wrong ass moment, but that shit sucks, man. That a lot of these people, they get rich and fucking, their life is going good and shit, and they just ends up getting cut short because of life on the streets, man. I mean, although y'all told me it wasn't his fault that he got fucking shot and killed, I mean, it's still sad to see that fucking people like that die, because, they had so much good potential. I mean, they were fucking doing good for themselves, but, I mean, life happens,
Feud that would end up costing him his life. The man was shot 9 times in a drive-by shooting.
So I got bricks of Jose. I sip Rose. This dick is not free anymore. I make the hoes pay.
What's going on, guys? My name is Michael McCredden, documenting the life and career of Big L.
I haven't seen one of these videos in a while,
for you and before they were dead. Now, please feel free to leave your condolences for the departed in the comments down below, as well as be sure to let me know who you want me to document next. You guys requested this video, so here you go.
So you trying to make it, right? No doubt. Yeah, well, you doing good too. Up in there.
Larry Coleman was born on May 30th, 1974. He was the third and youngest child of Gilda Terry and Charles Davis. However, his father left the family when Larry was still a child. He had 2 siblings, Donald and Leroy, who gave the
Hey, one time for the one time, man. Fuck that beat dads, bro. For real, like that's just like some pussy ass shit that you leave your fucking child like that, I don't even, like, honestly, I never went through that shit, but, I've seen a lot of people go through that shit, and personally, I think that it's just, like, some pussy-ass, coward-ass motherfucking shit, dog, because I don't think no child deserves to be fucking left without a mom or a dad, So it's like, damn, man.
Their little bro the nickname Little L.
Once again, it's the Big L, that kid who got much props for killing corrupt cops with motherfucking buck shots.
He was raised in Harlem at 139th and Lenox, an area known as the Danger Zone.
When no man can withstand the whole zone.
That's due to its crack cocaine culture. Well, young Larry, he stayed out of this because the man was obsessed with hip-hop. He began freestyling at the age of 12, and then he would go out onto the streets, not to get involved in the gang culture, but instead he wanted to rap battle his peers. Coleman attended Julia Richmond High, and as he got into his teens, he was faced with the temptation of quick money on the streets. Instead, he decided to focus on his rap as his way out. He founded his own small rap crew known as 3 the Hard Way in 1990, but this group would fizzle out because the other people he was working with, well, they got caught up in gangs and drugs. Now, around this time, Little L, he decided to switch up his name, and he was going to be known as Big L. He also bumped into another artist by the name of Lord Finesse at a record shop, and that's when he decided, well, this is his shot, and he went for it. Initially, he sent a friend to show Finesse his mixtape, who said, talk to my manager, and if he's nice, we'll talk then. But Big L, he came to the conclusion that wasn't a good enough answer.
So L sends him back. So my man said he'll run for you right now. If you don't like him, he won't ever bother you again.
Finesse and Big L, they exchanged phone numbers, and when Big L would go on to graduate from high school, well, he would join up with one of New York City's best underground hip-hop groups known as DITC, or Diggin' in the Crates crew. It consisted of rappers, DJs, and producers like Lord Finesse, Diamond D, and Fat Joe. Now, the name comes from them going around to different record shops where they would be looking through bins for samples that they could lay their tracks down to. All of a sudden in 1992, well, Big L, he had his first track on Lord Finesse's Yes You May.
And showing AG threw me on their album.
That's right.
You know, I was winning rap contests like it was nothing.
Around the same time, Nubian Production, well, they had held a freestyle rap battle competition. 2,000 people showed
2,000 people showed up. But look, man, before I do keep on going with this shit, man, what the fuck? Life back then, it was more, honestly, I would have liked to live in those fucking rap times, because, you know, man, social media wasn't as big back then, so, you know, I think rap like that more, like, back in the, like, whenever it was starting, and, like, so on, like, and also, like, through the 90s and all that shit, like, rapping and going to concerts and all that shit, it meant more, you know? It really did. I mean, nowadays, it's just all about fucking social media, who got fucking quote-unquote clout and shit, and it's like, it's not the same as it used to be before, man, so, I mean, that's all I gotta say.
up, and Big L, he was crowned the victor.
Rappers, I clap events. Nobody can fuck with the way I be killing them shit in rap events.
That is when he signed a deal with Columbia Records. The first single, Devil's Son, was released in 1993. Now, the inspiration behind this single, well, Big L, he was a massive fan of horror films. Also, he states that he had seen some pretty ugly things while growing up in Harlem. While working on his upcoming album, Big L founded Harlem-centered rap group Children of the Corn. This was formed with neighborhood friends and fellow Harlem rappers Cameron, then known as Killa Cam, Herb McRuff, Cameron's cousin, Derek Bloodshed, Armstead, and also Mace, who at the time he was known as Murda Mace, but I got a funny feeling he now goes by the name Father Mace. That's what I heard. Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous was released in 1995 and would have 3 singles, Put It On, MVP, and No Ends, No Skins. And it featured guest appearances of a young Cameron and Jay-Z.
I shake, rattle and roll and wreck shit like
Man, Jay-Z, like, he's young as fuck in that photo.
Now, upon its release, this small album, it received a positive reaction from music critics. It also earned for Big L a reputation as a strong lyricist and a guy who was fantastic at wordplay. It was also financially successful in the beginning, but then after about 5 years, it only would go on to sell about 200,000 copies. The following year, he would get dropped by Columbia Records. Him and his label, they weren't seeing eye to eye. He later went on to state, I was there with a bunch of strangers that didn't know my music.
There's no comparison, son, just embarrassing. I'm running with some of the baddest men in the whole New York.
Big L then began to work on his second studio album known as The Big Picture in 1997. He also formed his own independent label known as Flamboyant Entertainment. He released the single Ebonics in 1998. He was also reportedly in talks to sign with Jay-Z's Rockefeller Records, but sadly, his story ends there.
Ask anybody from Eminem on down, all the real lyricists, they'll tell you about my boy. My boy is wicked. Nobody is fucking with my nigga, Big L.
On February 15th, 1999, Big L, he was fatally shot 9 times in both the face and the chest in a drive-by shooting. Initial reports speculated that his assailant wanted vengeance against his older brother, a rumor which would be confirmed in an interview with his brother Donald in 2010.
Both of us is gone, and he was out here by himself. So you can't get one brother, you got the other one, you know what I mean?
Originally, Gerard Woodley, one of Big L's childhood friends, was charged with the murder. But then he was released because of insufficient evidence. The murder case has never been solved and is surrounded in caution.
Like I've said in other fucking videos, man, don't ever trust your fucking closest friends, whoever the fuck they may be, dog. Your homies and all that shit, bro. Cause at the end of the day, dog, most of the time, those are the motherfuckers that turn on you, man. For real. Shit, like, one day, like, I don't know. Maybe one day y'all realize, or it'll fucking happen to you. I don't know, man. But that's the truth, for real.
Controversy. Now, Big L's manager, he decided to put together that album, The Big Picture, and release it, and it would go on to become certified gold. As for the rest of the story, well, there's actually a documentary being made about Big L, and it's set to be dropped in 2016. So be sure to check that out.
Harlem has really never been the same since
Big
L dropped.
My name is Michael McCradden, and thanks for checking out Before They Were Dead. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Well, damn, man. I do know that one of y'all did recommend me I think it was one of y'all that recommended me the documentary on Big L, man. And if y'all are watching this shit, man, drop it down in the comment section below, cause I don't know if I can find that comment again. And shit, I'm gonna end up checking that shit out, cause you know I do think Big L's life was pretty interesting. You know, even though I didn't know who he was, maybe like a couple weeks ago, man, it's still interesting in me. You know, cause you know back then, you know, like the rap scene was a whole different world than what it was today. You know, back then it was more. I think it was better back then, honestly, in my opinion. But I don't know, man. And yeah, this is a fucking Big L before they were gone. Let me know if y'all want to see any more content that's similar to this before they were gone. Other people, you know, before they were famous, anything like that, man. So y'all drop it down in the comment section below. The original link to this video, it will be down in the description below. So yeah, y'all go check that out. And shit, man, it was your boy G Side, and we'll see you guys later, man.